Okay, this is a Langston Boulevard Alliance People and Places project interview conducted by the Langston Boulevard Alliance. Today we are at the Arlington Artists Alliance. The date is 12/2/2024. My name is Bennett King and I am a research assistant for the Langston Boulevard Alliance. And what we'll do now is we'll start with you. Let's tell us your name, where you're from, a little bit about your story, and then we'll get into how you got started with the Alliance.
My name is Jane McElvany Coonce, and I have lived in Arlington all my life. And I was the founder of the Arlington Artists Alliance.
And when was it founded?
2000.
Okay, great. And a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Cindy Donohoe. I've lived here in Arlington about 25 years. My father was in the Air Force. We moved around. My husband was a native Arlingtonian, and so when we got married, he said, no place else to live but in Arlington.
And then how'd you get started here?
Jane was my teacher in art class.
Oh.
So yes. So Jane said, hey, do you want to join the Alliance? And I'm like, yes, it's great.
And when did you start?
I started, I'm going to say, I think around 2010. And actually, it was funny, I was in Cafe Colleen's right on Langston Boulevard yesterday with my kids for brunch. And I was like, oh, this is where I was sold my first painting. And it was through Jane's class and the Alliance.
Did you used to have a studio?
We used to have a gallery.
A gallery, okay.
Cassatt's.
And was that different? Like, has this gallery moved around, or did you have separate galleries?
No, we've moved around.
Okay, so it's just been one gallery that's moved to different places. And we'll get into that a little bit more. Okay. Let's talk about your titles now. What's your role at are you still just called founder or president?
Yeah, and I
Board member.
board member.
Founder.
And then what's your title?
I'm the president. So.
Okay. So tell us about, sounds like best to talk to you about this. Tell us about the origins of the Alliance. It sounded like it started in 2000. Why did it start? How did it start? That type of stuff. Just give us some background.
So we started because we were going everywhere else to show our artwork. We're going to Bethesda, we're going to Old Town Alexandria, and we finally said, this is ridiculous. Why can't we show art in Arlington? And there is a Arlington Art Center now called
MoCA.
But it's more for mid-Atlantic states, people all over. We wanted something that was more just, Arlington art, local art.
I didn't mean to finish that story.
So it was 5 of us that started, and we first had our first show at a Starbucks before they got so, organized.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was very successful, and a lot of people wanted to become a member. So we went to about 25 members. And then there were 2 empty storefronts up at Lehigh Shopping Center. And they asked us if we would like to do an outdoor sidewalk show. And they said, well, you got 2 empty storefronts. Why don't you let us just do one for the weekend?
Yeah.
So if it rains, we can still have it. So they agreed to it. And so we held it. And they said, oh, this was great. Can you do it every week?
Yeah.
And we said, yeah, sure. And then they decided, well, if you want, you can be open during the week if you want. So we stayed in that storefront originally about, I would say, several months before somebody, it had been empty for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Then we fixed it up, looked nice. We immediately got a lot of members. I think our membership grew to about 50, 75 people.
Oh, yeah.
And we sold a lot of art in this little pop-up gallery. And anyway, somebody wanted to rent it. So I said, well, you have another empty storefront. Can we move down there? So we moved down there, and sure enough, about 4 months later, somebody wanted to rent that.
Yeah.
But it was Art Hauptman who opened Cassatt's restaurant, and he asked us to remain part of his restaurant. And so for many, many years, I'd say maybe 18 years, we showed art at there. When we lost that, but we were also looking for gallery space. And originally, we had a little gallery on the back of that Lehigh Shopping Center. Now it's, I think, a knitting store. And then the next place we had to move to was down on Lee Highway and George Mason. There was a frame shop, and he needed more revenue, so we put in a gallery in there. And then eventually he lost his lease. So for a short time we moved to the back of that little shopping center, but it wasn't very noticeable to the public. So we finally got Crystal City, and we were there for what,
12 years.
12 years.
That's the
And-
place we were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And that was wonderful. Vornado was originally the ones that gave us that spot, and then they sold to JBT Smith, and they've been even more wonderful to us. And we had a great partnership there. We also had a gallery in Clarendon on Wilson Boulevard and
I think it's
Highland.
Highland Street.
Oh, Clarendon.
Clarendon and Highland.
It's now
Where currently the Colony Grill.
Yeah, Colony Grill Pizzas. Anyway, we were there for 2 years approximately, and that was the best gallery we ever had because all the walk-by traffic.
Yeah.
We became a community partner with Clarendon Group. They loved us, and we were very sad that somebody wanted to rent that place.
Yeah.
So we've sort of moved around a lot, and now we're here in this Clarendon spot.
I wanted to go back to what you were talking about earlier. When you started the story, you said we wanted to have our local. Tell me a little bit. It sounds like there were 5 of you, or what was the?
So
we
basically,
were
it was I teach art for Arlington Community Learning,
Okay.
and my students.
Oh, okay.
So it really started off with a lot of my students. I was co-president for 9 years, and one of them was co-president was my student. But we've grown so much that it's a very different organization now. Originally, it was strictly all volunteer, and we were all like running around trying to find space, And it's a cooperative in that way, and that's why I think we're really a close-knit group. I'm a member of other organizations, and you don't really know the people in your group that much, but we do so much together. We do community projects.
Yeah.
Cindy will talk about that a little bit. So when we built out Clarendon Gallery, we did it all ourselves, and so everybody was helping. We got to know each other that way. It's a really good group and very supportive of each other.
As you grew, was that mostly, so it started with students, was it local artists that started joining, or was more students?
Yes,
or-
no,
yeah.
what happened was, as soon as you get presence, and other people who are artists see you, and they want to join. And our membership now is over 200.
225.
225?
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite a group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it went from just being, my students to lots of artists all over the county, and people who work here, or people who have studios here in Arlington, are members of our group.
And you want to talk a little bit about some of the community work that you guys do?
Yes, I'd say over the last 3 or 4, actually all through our history, but we've ramped it up significantly over the last 5 years. Partnerships with veterans organizations. We do a project with the Arlington County Career Center with the high school children that want to be artists, and so we work with them on how to organize a whole show, how to frame your piece, how to price your piece, so then the children actually do the curation of the show, and it's a wonderful experience because it's very impactful, and they love the opportunity to actually show their stuff in a real gallery. So that's one. Another one would be with the with the Roslyn metro system. So they asked us for pieces of art that we would curate to then become panels within the construction zone of the metro center to make it beautify it while it's under construction. And another one would be we partner with the Pentagon City Mall, the fashion center at the mall, to have a big wall of photos. And also with local partnerships with the Langston Boulevard Alliance doing Earth Day and some other events. And with the Veterans Show, it's a very moving show because really art is a lot about healing, and these veteran shows are always amazing. The help of art has done for them.
Tell us a little bit more about that veterans program. And do they come and do art programs with you, or how does that work?
No, it's called Uniting Us, and so they're just a collective of artists, and so we work with them to put on the show. During the show, on the day of a reception, they would come and we could do some small art projects. One of them was actually we were kind of creating a collage of different pieces, and anybody who would coming in to the reception could create a little piece to add to the whole collection.
Yeah. It's very cool. So they were already artists. They're bringing their art to the show. I see. Okay. I'm going to let you both answer this, and you can see if you answer it differently. But if you were telling a stranger about the Alliance, how would you describe it? And we'll start with you since you were just talking. just explain what would you say it was?
I would say it is a really great group of artists that really are supportive of each other. I love that this organization, it has a whole range of artists, from beginners to just kind of emerging artists to very professional artists. And what's great about that is that the professional artists, middle artists, can help mentor the younger folks or the more inexperienced folks into, like, how do you frame it? How do you price your work? Things like that are always kind of a stumbling block for most artists.
Yeah.
I think it's great that we partner with the local communities. So we have 9 venues throughout Arlington where we partner with businesses and the government. So, for instance, we have a venue show that's in the Arlington County Board, in the Arlington Free Clinic, and even in local doctor shops. So, so I love that we're out and about in the community sharing our artwork in those places.
Anything you would add, or how would you describe it?
Yeah, I think, our motto when we first started was supporting art and artists in Arlington. And what we meant by that was not only are we supporting our artists by giving them opportunities, but we're also exposing the public to art. Because I think it's very important that people are exposed to art, just like, there's so many types of art, music, theater, visual art is just as important. And unfortunately, a lot of times the theaters and the music all get the, spaces, and so we're fighting for our space too. And I do think that what Cindy said is true. We're a group that supports each other, but we also support our community by offering things, Earth Day, and we try to do projects like that. When the community asks for us to help them do something, we always say yes. Same with JBB Smith. They said, the Cub Scouts are having time with derbies. Would you help the kids decorate their cars? We said yes.
Was that when my kid was in Cub Scouts?
Right.
That's a great program. Okay, so you mentioned a little bit about the motto. What are your goals these days? Like, what would you consider the goals of the Alliance?
Yeah, as we've talked about before, we've had kind of an up and down history about gaining space, then losing it, gaining, losing it. So our main goal now is to find some permanent space, both for galleries as well as studios. So we had studio space in Crystal City Underground. We lost that, and so now we're looking for other studio space, because literally there are very few spaces for our Arlingtonians to create art, and it's very, very expensive. So we're trying to create an inexpensive place where we can create a community and a hub for artists, as well as sharing the art throughout. So really, it's fundraising to allow us to afford to pay for space, as well as maintain our services and things like that.
So let's talk about, you just mentioned something I had a question about, which is studio space before. Are there programs, even if you don't offer them now, what did you typically offer as programs? I don't know which one you want to answer this one.
Well, I mean, the studio spaces are for individual artists to create their own work. They might live in a condo and they don't have room in their place. But we do offer other things. We've worked with PBS. Or at Crystal City, they were there too, and they would bring their staff down, and we would do art projects with them to kind of build camaraderie with their group, but also to expose them to art. And we've also done sip and paint, where people can come and have a drink and paint together.
Well, I like that one.
We do have, when we have space, we have an art school. We used to call it the Arlington Artists Alliance Academy. Mm-hmm. But when we lost Coonce, which was where we had some of our classes, we've had a little more trouble finding places to have art classes. But certainly there's plenty of people that want to take classes, whether it's for children or adults.
So it wasn't just students, you were teaching all the way up to adults.
Yeah.
And there's another partnership that I think was good during when the Langston Boulevard was renamed. Excuse me, we were part of that celebration, and some of our artists did some amazing work for that. I don't know if you went to the reception, but a great reception at Dominion Lighting, and so very moving pieces about Langston and just the whole area corridor.
Do you have any photos of that?
I'll look those up, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just put those up on the website when we put your page up, because I think obviously there's a correlation.
Yes, right.
So, yeah, that would be great. We can ask Ginger if she has
And I think we have also some from Earth Day, too.
Okay, that would be great, yeah. Okay, we talked a little bit about the programs. So let's talk about your most memorable moments at the Alliance, and we'll start with this. What are some of your most memorable moments?
Well, first I was mentioning earlier that selling my first painting was so cool. I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. And okay, granted, it was my mother, but I still sold one.
We can believe that. We'll take that.
As a win. But the other one was actually, excuse me. And actually, Jane was called by the Washington Post about this new gallery. So it was a very cool moment to have our article in the Post. And yeah.
I would say too, I think what really solidified our group was when we got that space in Clarendon, right in the hub of downtown part of Clarendon for 2 years. Well, I think first of all, just building it out, it took us 4 months, and it was except for the electrician, it was all done by our members, and everybody pitched in. I mean, whether if they couldn't, they could sweep the floor, they could wash walls, they could paint walls, everybody pitched in. And it was a time that I think really made our whole organization change, because we had started off as all volunteer, and now we needed, some employees to work too. Because we tried to run a gallery many times just with volunteers, and if somebody doesn't show up, well, the gallery's closed. Whereas if you have employees, they show up or they get a sub, whatever. And I think that changed our whole outlook. And now we are a much more, I'd say, sophisticated organization, because we do have a staff and a board that plans 5 years out, where do we want to be? 10 years out, where do we want to be? It's made us a more professional organization.
Yeah, during the pandemic, we took time to do a 5-year plan. Excuse me, and that was that was the time we also decided to hire a full-time executive director. And so bringing her on, Christina Papanikolaou, she's been great to bring on. A little more experience. She came from a New York gallery. She created herself in New York. And so she brought some of that experience and some of that knowledge with her to help us build out the organization. And the pandemic was kind of tough for us, because we had to close the gallery and try to figure out how we're going to keep paying for people while we're still trying to operate. So we're really glad.
Virtual events or anything to help you through the pandemic?
We didn't, not really. I don't remember, but we ended up having to go go into our reserves, but also the PPE really did help us kind of stay afloat. So we still had some of our off-site events, so that was possible. And then we, opened up as we could as the restrictions slipped.
So you guys you're a nonprofit, right?
Yes, 501c3.
Any other members you guys want to pick up?
I would just say mainly the friendships that we've all made. It's a tight-knit group, and we really try to, even when new members join, we try to get them involved so they get to know each other and know other people and feel welcome.
I think it says a lot when you're talking about that Clarendon space that so many people showed up, right?
Yes.
That says a lot about the group. Okay, let's talk about maybe some of the artists or the successes that you've seen, whether it's yours or the artists that you've seen through the Alliance.
Well, one of the things I think we've gone from when we first started, we were just, anybody show up, put your paintings up, get to go. And now we are able to do jury shows, which take a lot more work. You have to find a juror. You have to, have a group that lays out the paintings for them to pick the show. You have to write the prospectus for the show. I mean, it's a lot involved in putting on a jury show. And I think that has helped us also become more well-known, because we open it up to anybody in the metropolitan area. So people from all over the area, enter these shows.
Did you ever have any surprises, like somebody come out of nowhere and just won the show, or maybe?
Well, I think what I've loved lately is we've had a lot of people entering into the shows from all over the place, and some very, actually, here's a moment. Our latest show That was a juried show. The juror was amazing. Her name escapes me right now. We'll tell you that later. But Rosemary Covey. And she just was blown away by the scale and the diversity of the artwork. And she said, I haven't seen this quality work in a long time. So I think there were over 220 submissions, and so she said I had a really hard time picking just the 40 that were in the show, and so it was pretty amazing. She said on top of that, I really loved working with everybody on the team. They were very professional, so it was really nice to hear that from a seasoned juror that has a huge precedent. So
I think another great memory is when they have the best gallery in the area, and we were competing against the Art League at the Torpedo Factory. And we won.
Wow.
Yeah, so for Northern Virginia, yeah.
That, for us, was
a big
very,
deal.
We were so excited because...
Any artists go on to fame? Like any of your artists go on to become superstars? I don't know what the term is.
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
I don't know. I haven't thought about that. But several have gone on to be, teachers, long-term teachers. Like, I don't know when Patty started, but...
Yeah.
That's also success, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah.
Okay. And we
actually, I will have to say, I think a couple of ours, I won't know the exact award, but sorry, gosh. The gentleman who do the photos, I'll give you the information later, but he actually won a big award in Baltimore. So the guy, Pedro Lareo, who did the photo of the guy with the pink suit from that show, he won a big award in Baltimore just recently. So, and Jane just won an award too, just so you know. Yes, yes. Talk about that award. That's a good one.
Oh yeah. I mean, I entered the Baltimore Watercolor Society show, which is a very prestigious show. It's for all Mid-Atlantic states and very hard to get into. I don't get into it every year. This year I got in and I won the Denny Bond Memorial Award, which was quite an honor because Denny Bond was the most beautiful photorealistic watercolors I've ever seen. His paintings were so stunning. He died just suddenly in the past year. So this is the first year they had that award, and I was very honored.
Were you a formally trained artist, or did it pick it up as a hobby, or how did you?
So when I was going off to college, I wanted to be a teacher, and my mother said, well, don't major in art. They only need one art teacher per school. Pick a different major. So I majored in English and minored in art and taught English for 10 years at Wakefield High School. And then proceeded to take many, many classes on my own while I was teaching. And then when I stopped teaching to raise my kids, I just strictly taught for adult ed in art. And I've been teaching for Arlington Adult Education for 43 years.
I think parents get the wrong advice because my mom said the same thing. I was a graphic design major and then worked for 25 years of design. And not in history, which was my major. So, okay, let's talk about, I want to get back to the community work. I want to talk specifically about Langston Boulevard. So you mentioned some of the interactions you have there. What would you say your role is with the Langston Quarter community? What are some of the activities you do there and support there?
Well, I think we first started our relationship with the Langston Boulevard Alliance group about 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. They asked us for help on doing a little plein air exhibit. And we was like, okay, yeah, we can do that. We can do the plein air exhibit, plus if we can sell our art. Like, yeah, sure. So that's how we kind of started the relationship with Ginger and with Sandy. And some other folks as part of the organization. And then it kind of blossomed into Earth Day and some other events. So that's been our main interaction, but...
and also Sandy introduced us to Michael Rafridi, who is going to be in charge of this Kensington that they're going to put in right across from those nice shops. They're going to tear down the whole Long and Foster building, I believe it is, and put in...
Senior living
with a gallery on the first floor, modeled after the Kensington and Falls Church, which also has the Falls Church Arts Gallery on the first floor. So we're hoping that unfortunately, COVID sort of interrupted that.
Yeah.
So they're behind on their plans, but we're hoping still to be part of that and then certainly be involved in the Langston Boulevard area.
Yeah, it'd be great, like to have with the vision of that walkable neighborhood. It'd be great
Yes.
for you guys to have on the streets.
Right.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, when you do those programs, are they? Is it you're just showing artists, or do you do programs there?
No, we do. We have a fun day with the kids. So we bring in stencils and paints and things like that. A little tiny paint boards where the kids can create their own little art, and they love it, and the parents love it too. Kind of keeps them happy, and all through the theme. And then we also have an artist, Barry Keith, who did a mural and had the kids paint the mural and things like that. So it was fun.
Was it on a building or just on a mural? There was
No, it was on a canvas, and then we showed it inside the Langston Boulevard Alliance in their offices for a while.
I meant to ask you, were you formally trained, or was it?
No, it was Jane, and Jane's great, and I really enjoyed it. Many nights where I was tired after working all day, and I'd sit on, and my husband would say, "Go to art class. You'll feel much better. Go to art class." And so I did. And I came home happy as a clam. So, and also it was just a great group of people. Her class is very warm and inviting, and I learned a lot. So, and I enjoy it.
Okay, why would you say it's important to have a group like yours involved in Arlington? Why is it important to have the Arlington Artists Alliance as part of the community? I'll let you go next.
Oh, well, I was going to echo what Jane